We're currently shipping the final production run of Black and Gold Shared System Plus, and of course, we've been thinking about this system a lot. Recently, we posted a video where Tony answered your questions about the origins and history of the shared system. We ended up collecting far more footage than we could actually fit into one video. So next time, we'll present the second part of that interview, but for this week, as sort of an interlude, let's do one more shared system patch. It's going to be a bit of a throwback. Let's do a mashup of two older Patch from Scratch videos, Microsound Drum Machine and Triggered Arpeggios, both originally released in late 2018. These patches utilize the tempi, the morphogene, and the current version of Rene, so they fit squarely in the Black and Gold Shared System Plus part of the shared system's history. I dare say that by now this is by far the most common iteration of the shared system out in the world. Speaking of which, if you have a shared system of any era or have built one yourself and you've made recordings with it, we'd love to see you post links in the comments so we can hear and celebrate the great variety of music that's been made with these systems. As Tony mentioned last week, a beautiful thing about a strange and specific collection of modules like the shared system is that when making music with it, the only real variable becomes you, the artist. On that note, when prepping these videos, I was also suddenly reminded that back in 2014, we created a Soundcloud account. It's called Shared System Series and hosts a whole bunch of shared system tracks that various folks around the internet sent to us in 2014 and early 2015. I'll throw a link to those in the video description below. Okay, so let's patch. Let's start with the triggered arpeggios. The concept here is that the Rene is running constantly at a medium fast rate, clock rate, on the X channel. It is sequencing the DPO, and we are manually triggering a maths function using the pressure points touch gate. So that each time we press the plate, we get a short burst of arpeggios. We can determine how long they'll go on using the fall parameter. Let's also molt that touch gate to the Xmod input with fun.mod.reset turned on, thereby using it to reset the X channel each time we touch the pressure points. The maths function opens the Optimix, rings out for several notes worth of Rene clocks. Each time we touch the pressure points, we trigger now the same arpeggio. Immediately, of course, I start looking for variations on this. The easiest variation is simply to change the access or latch page pattern, creating arpeggios of differing lengths, and starting in different places. We can also use the tuned voltages of pressure points to sort of transpose the arpeggio, either by patching them to the expo input or what is usually my preference, doing it in scale by patching it to XCV and turning on fun.cv.add. Now, let's add a second voice. We'll clock the Y channel and use the YCV to sequence VCO A at a slower rate. Rather than the gate out from pressure points, we'll use the common pressure output to open this Optimix channel. And we can do a similar transposition with the next channel of tuned voltage from pressure points. Once again, fun.cv.add, now on the Y channel. It can either go up and down along with the X channel or be more independent depending on how we decide to set up the knobs across the rows. In the original video, I also patched the Y gate output to the Optimix strike input. The locations on the Y gate page are all turned off, so this will activate only if I'm using the latch page. This adds another performance element to the patch. Now for the microsound drum machine part of the patch, let's take one of the outputs of the Morphogene, patch it through the Echophone, and then onward to the aux input on Optimix. This patch uses a Morphogene reel that I made with a number of different drum hits on individual splices. They're copied to multiple splices at varying volumes. We'll keep the echoes turned down for now. Another potentially interesting note here is that on the original shared system, the Echophone utilized a Vactrol in the mix circuit. And therefore, with this exact same patch, we might have heard some little traces of its echoes. But of course, that system also has a phonogene instead of a morphogene, so we'd have a wholly different vibe to these drum sounds anyway. Now, let's clock the play input on our morphogene with a tempi channel. And let's organize through the splices with some kind of stepped voltage. I like to either use the Wogglebug stepped random, attenuated slightly using Maths channel 2. Or another option would be the Cartesian CV output. A nice thing about the latter is I can sort of sequence it in a more or less repeatable way. Using the access page and the knobs. well as resetting it along with the arpeggios when pressing the touch blades. Let's also shift the two morphogene modulating and tempi channels periodically. If I like, I could also use the pressure points, pressure output to bring in some echoes. And even use that same originally triggered maths function to bring in the drums. This will let me add more space between pressure points driven events if I like. Have you ever taken two favorite patches and mashed them into one? I hope so. Stay tuned for more shared system fun next week. Thanks for watching, and happy patching.